Hey guys, welcome to another all bass creations effects tutorials, demos, and review. Today we're going to be going over a nice recording setup for you guys using your pedals and whatever multi-effects or IR cabinet loader you're using, whether it be a Zoom B6 or a Line 6 HX Stomp or the Helix, Kemper, all of these things. We're just gonna go over a basic effects order for you guys. And we're gonna go over some cheaper options for you guys. So, if you don't wanna break the bank, you ain't really got to, just to get a good recording setup sound. So as usual, we'll start with my bass dry. Alright, so first thing I like to do, if I'm just doing the bass sound, from there, I'll be adding um, probably one of my preamp pedals, which is in this setup, we're going to do, first we're going to do ampless. So first we're going to do basically like, if you had to do a recording in a studio at a house, somebody's house, and you can't make noise or you don't have your amps, or you just want a consistent sound when you're on stage and you don't have an amp, this is, some of the first options we're going to go over. So having things like, as you can see in the bottom, if you look at the top, the box at the right here, if you look to the left bottom corner of that, so how do I do this? Right here, this area, those are my preamps. um, it's an ampeg SGT-DI. It's a and there's an Aguilar AG preamp, an Eden WTDI, as well as if I want additional amp models, I have some of those on here as well. But those are the analog ones I have on my pedal board. And I use some digital, like I have a GK model I like in the MS60B that's also available on the Zoom B6, B3. Not the B6 doesn't have a GK model, Galley and Kruger. But the MS60B does and the Zoom B3 does. So that's another tone option. But yeah, let's just, for now, we'll start with just the SGT, Ampeg SGT. So that's with the SGT on. Let me see what I got on there. I don't have any of the bass boost or treble boost on. No, none SGT circuit is in on. It's only the preamp boosting the bass around 2 o'clock. Um, Cutting the mids set. The mids are set to about 500 and cutting to about 11. And the highs are boosted to around probably about 130 on that. So next up, I don't the compressor on. If you're on a budget, you can just get an SGT-DI and run two lines out. So run one line out from the preamp to your audio interface, and then run one line XLR out with the IR section if you just want to do that. And that way you got an entire Ampeg little setup in one box, for 400. All analog except for the IR cabinets, which is awesome. I don't particularly like the ones they have loaded in there. That's just me. You guys could, it also, you can load it, your custom ones yourself. You can make some, or you can buy some from somebody else, but I don't particularly like the ones in there because they don't have a lot of clarity, in my opinion, the way they were made. So, moving on. Um, Next up would be my multi-band compressor, which is TC Electronic Spectracomp. In in the default, it's actually the same compressor that comes in this TC Electronic head here, and it's same exact sound and everything. So if you just put it on the default, it's pretty much the same one that comes in the TC Electronic heads. The big boy heads, the more expensive ones, basically. So as you can see, right there, you already just with the preamp and the compressor, you already got a good DI sound there. So now what I like to do is from there, because we're not talking about getting into all the effects and everything. We're just talking about tone, just getting you a nice. Say you got a request to record a track, a remote recording at your house, that you have to send off to an engineer. That's what this application is more so for. And I'm also going to show you how to incorporate your amp for cheap. If you want to use a real cabinet and mix it in there, show you how to do that too. But that's coming up in a little bit. So that would be the SGT-DI, with the compressor off into the TC Electronic Spectracomp. Now we're coming down to the iPad or the Zoom V6. It will go to the volume pedal for there if I want to do some swells. But I also run this Neve Preamp 1073. So as you can see, I have that gain dimed. I got the gain all the way up, just so I have pretty much as much saturation as possible, or emulation of the saturation. A little bit of bass boost on there, a little bit of treble, a little bit of cut on the mids at 350. But it's a little boost around 55 on the bass, and boost around a little small, even smaller boost on treble around 10K. So it gives you a lot of clarity, gives you some more bottom, as well as just the nice characteristics of a Neve preamp, which changed this game changer. So right there, you on that is a nice bass tone. It's gonna sit real nice in the mix for you, right? And as well as it gives the sound engineer, the mixing engineer, a lot more flexibility. One thing you don't want to do is put too much on it, and then the mix engineer has to undo all of that or try to combat all of that. So even on the Spectracomp, I have the knob turned all the way to the left, just so it's just on. It's not really squashing much of anything or taking much of anything out. Um, and with the SGT, I kind of just shaped it. And then when I got to the Neve, I just added some body and saturation, and just basically more texture to it. Um, yeah, so it's a little warmer. Basically, I added a little bit of warmth with the Neve there. Then when I'm running my Zoom B6, I run the send out. So what you've been hearing is just the send. So just a nice solid DI sound right there. Sounds like a nice B15 running out of there. Let me turn on this SGT circuit. That's one thing I do love about having these different preamps right there. Pretty much from right there, I can run all my different preamps into this Neve. That's the whole purpose. This Neve clone here, 1073 preamp clone emulation, whatever you want to call it. It adds so much to your tone. I'm gonna take this other stuff off real quick and give you just that. I'm gonna give you just the Neve preamp. Without it. With it. without it. With it. Mind you, you really don't have to have any other um you really don't have to have any other preamp right there. Let me see something real quick. Let me show you guys something. If I was just gonna use the Neve by itself, those would probably be pretty close to my settings there. Put your own. So you were just hearing it going back and forth with it on and with it off. And those are the settings I use for just when it's just the, if I'm going to use just the Neve as my preamp, which I am growing quite fond of. I'm actually coming to prefer this little Neve clone over some other analog preamps that I have, or at least having it as a sweetener for it. So that's why I have this setting here where everything is just like, it's just a little touch of EQ from the Neve, but a lot of the saturation. So, for when I'm using other amps. So, all right, let's bring the SGT back in. We're going to bring in the TC Electronic Spectracomp back in. We got the pre-1073 on, and now we're going to add this Aguilar IR. Pretty much it's a 410s with a tweeter, mic'd up with a D20 and an SM57. So, here we go. So that's with just the IR. But what I like to do is mix the two. So basically, I have it set up so to the send, I have pretty much a DI out. You know what I'm saying? I got the SGT, the Spectracomp, and the 1073 running to one channel. That's this one. Right? But then I also have the dry out. And that's actually has the IR on it. So I have the send which is a 1/4 inch out from the send, running into the mixer, and then I have an XLR running from there as like a DI, as and then that has the IR on it. So one channel has the DI signal and one channel has the IR signal coming out of it. So got them split up there. So that way you can mix the two. So say I wanted my primary signal to be the DI, right? I can now bring in the cabinet as well. Or if I want the cabinet to be my primary and I just want the DI just for a little definition,